All right, good morning, party people. It is June 26th. It is Wednesday. Okay, so I just want to give you a heads up. Last night, I saw something that was beyond disturbing. It was a movie promo, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it for the new Dracula movie that's coming out. I don't even want to say the name of it. It is beyond. It takes that story visually and with the language way beyond what I've ever seen in the past. And it is extremely evil. And I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that when I saw this preview, because I wanted to see what this was all about, because of course, Hollywood is just the epitome of darkness right now. It's just spewing out the music industry and the movie industry. It's like they know that, like I was talking to a friend of mine, Tamara, not the other day, or, through text on TikTok. And it's like sides are being chosen. People are, it's no longer, it's becoming no longer gray. You are either on one side or the other. You're either on the side of Jesus Christ and goodness and all of that represents, or you are literally following the enemy. And this movie, what's beyond creepy is that this movie, the entire beginning of the promo keeps saying he is coming, he is coming. And what are we as Christians? That's part of what I say every day. Jesus is coming, right? And so it is so evil. It is such a perversion of what the Christians are declaring right now, which really leads me to believe that, again, this is just, in my opinion, this is just another sign that things are ramping up. So remember, the enemy, all he can do is imitate, right? But I'm telling you, when that movie, The Exorcist, came out years ago, I heard many preachers say that when that came out and all of their a lot of their congregation and their kids were going to see this movie, not realizing that they were opening a door to allow demonic stuff to come into their lives. And they saw and they had tremendous problems in the church with people that became afflicted with harassment and demonic activity because of that movie. This is definitely going to do the same thing. So it is beyond evil. And what's beyond creepy is how it, again, the enemy's imitating, right? So Hollywood knows what we're doing on TikTok. The Hollywood knows that we're declaring that Jesus Christ could be coming any minute. That we know he's coming again, right? It's just a matter of the timing, right? And so what does it do? It takes that story and just amps it up to a level of evil that is so creepy. So also the other thing that this video did is it saved it on its own, and I think it forwarded from my TikTok. So if anyone on here gets anything from me regarding that movie promo, it was not from me. It did it on its own, which is another whole level of creepy. All right, so anyways, I was so disturbed about this morning. It was disturbing last night, but then when I woke up this morning when I was doing my quiet time, it was just really disturbing. So just heads up, this is, be aware of what's coming and do not participate in that movie. All right, so anyway, so we are back in the book of Revelation. Speaking of, all right, so let's do our daily reading today. Our daily reading, I was in the prophetic books, which was awesome. So Ezekiel 41:42, Amos 3:4, John 5:6, Revelation 15:16, Psalm 33:34, and Proverbs 7. Okay, so that's our daily reading for today. So we are back in the book of Revelation. We're in chapter 10. I'm not going to go back, or in chapter 11. I don't want to go backwards to give you all the history, because otherwise I never get through anything. Okay, so I'm going to start Revelation. We'll see how far we get. Okay, so this section is called the two witnesses. Okay, so now things are changing. We're being introduced to a couple of new characters in this saga of the end times, and most people today believe that these two witnesses are Elijah and Moses, and we'll go into that later. But it says, chapter 11 says, Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, the altar, and those who worship there. But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And I will give power to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. Okay, so we're going to stop there. So what I want to talk about here was giving, where John is given a reed like a measuring rod. And the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God, the altar and those who worship there. Now, why is he measuring the temple? So he's measuring the temple for judgment, right? He's not measuring the temple for preservation. He's measuring the temple because it's going to be judged. And this is not the earthly temple, because remember, he got a little bit of a taste of the earthly temple in earlier chapters. I mean, heavenly temple. he got to see that in the earlier chapters. This is the earthly temple. So this is in Jerusalem. So this is the physical temple. So I want to refer to you back to where this is seen. Similar language is seen in other books of the Bible, because of course, you always see that. And so, and Tulip is snoring. Debbie, darn it. Okay. So one of the places that it refers you to is Ezekiel chapter 40, all right? So remember Ezekiel on my map. Those of you that have not seen my previous videos, I'm going to show you here. This is the timeline of Israel, northern kingdom, southern kingdom. These guys are the legitimate kings of Judah. These guys are known as the kings of Israel. These guys were usurpers. And see all the prophets that God sent to them to try and get them to straighten out, right? And they never did. This is their fall. This is where they fall to Assyria. Here, the southern kingdom lasts a little bit longer, but you start seeing prophets being sent to them as well, right? Because at the end, they also were a complete mess. And Ezekiel is right here. So Ezekiel does his ministry as a, he's living in Babylon, and as many of the Jewish people were at that time, and he's prophesying to the nation of Israel about the fall of the nation, right? And so we covered earlier in the study of the Revelation how he saw God's presence in the book of Ezekiel being lifted from the temple and from Jerusalem. And this was because of their apostasy and because of everything that they were doing wrong. And eventually God left, right? And then the temple is destroyed. And so, but what you see is, you see in the midst, there's always hope, right? There's always a remnant and there's always hope. And so what God gives him is, even though God had removed himself from the temple and he allowed Jerusalem to be destroyed because of their apostasy, there's always hope. And so he gives Ezekiel in chapter 40 a vision of the new temple, which is going to come down from heaven on the earth. So what's awesome here is in Revelation, in chapter 11, you're seeing again measurement of the temple, just like you saw in Ezekiel, and you see that it's going to be destroyed just like it was in Ezekiel, right? At least a portion of it is going to be destroyed. And but at the same time, when he's using the measuring rod, they're referring you back here to this vision of the new temple, right? Of the promise of what's going to come. And so it says, in the 25th year of the captivity, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th, this is Ezekiel chapter 40. In the 14th year, after the city was captured, on the very same day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he took me there. So God's taking Ezekiel there at a vision. In the visions of God, he took me into the land of Israel and set me on a very high mountain. On it toward the south was something like the structure of a city. He took me there, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of bronze. He had a line of flax and a measuring rod in his hand, and he stood in the gateway. And so then it goes on to describe the measuring of the temple. And again, that was the New Testament. So then it also refers us back, because of this section, to Daniel 9:27. So let me read this to you. Now, in chapter 9, you're seeing from verse 20 on a lot of, it's all prophetic stuff about the end times. So 27 says, then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring to an end sacrifice and offering, and on the wings of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation, oops, did I read that right? Yeah. Until, which is determined, is poured out on the desolate. So what they're referring to there is, and above it, it said, it was talking about the destruction of the city and the sanctuary, and how it's going to be destroyed. Oh my gosh, I'm out of time. Okay, so I'm going to cover this more tomorrow, but because there's more that they're referring back to. So just don't watch that video. It's a horrible video. It got me all bamboozled this morning. Okay, so read your Bible. Jesus is coming, and we'll cover some more of chapter 11 tomorrow. Peace.